the rest of us for the discussion. I hope that you will be very active because as I feel the audience feelings were love and hate. So do you have such an experience with a different audience also for your performance?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, we're quite interested in sort of love and hate relationships with things and the fine line between things. We ourselves have a very love-hate relationship with pop culture. So for us, we're always trying to play with desire and distaste at the same time.
I think that you are playing with it. But just beginning with the last question from the previous conversation, I just wanted to ask if there are any lines you didn't cross during this performance or in the other performance you made?
Yeah, I guess there are always lines you don't cross because you know. Well, I guess the lines are as far as you can imagine. I mean, you could kill someone on stage. I mean, I wouldn't suggest you did, but you know, that's a line we wouldn't cross. You know, so I think for us actually, it's sometimes a show which people's first reaction is maybe that lots of lines have been crossed, but maybe on consideration, if you think what actually you see and what actually happens, you realise that maybe not so many have been crossed in terms of what real danger or real problems in the world are.
Very symptomatic that you play in a black box stage. So you are from the very beginning. You put this frame.
Yeah. 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 For us, always the main interest in any show we make is the attempt to do the show. So really, we're most interested in the effort of being on stage and performing, and getting from the beginning to the end. So in a way, you could say the less stuff there is, the better. We prefer it because we're not very comfortable with fiction, and we feel that the true thing that everybody must admit is true and cannot deny is that we are all in this theatre expecting to see a show, and it's this big, and there are these many people here, or whatever. So, so usually as a starting point, we would try to be quite stripped back and quite bare.
You use only few things to stands, to lights, and you at the end you didn't use it at all, or use it subversing their our expectation. Yeah. So you're always playing with it, and with translation, a kind of translation of the theatricality itself.
Yeah.
Is it important to you to strike the theatricality? To dress up the theatricality, to feel as that you are, I don't know, taking something from ourselves.
Oh yeah, yeah, yes. Yeah, actually, I suppose we would maybe think of it as being interested in asking the audience to admit various things which are already true, but maybe we want to escape them when we go to the theatre. But we would be quite interested to bring them back into the room. And yeah, I mean, we're very interested in theatricality, and actually we have a big love of very high drama and high camp theatre, yeah, and musicals and things, you know, very kind of lowbrow, over the top stuff. But as I say, we have a big problem with fiction, really, because we believe the only true relationship in the room is this person is really here, really talking to you. So, yeah, we would try and use the things which normally may be used to create a fantasy rather to heighten a reality.
Of course, the names of the performers are the real names of them. So this is, do you want to ask questions? Yes.
It's okay.
Because I don't know if we record it. Do we need to use the mic?
I can speak loudly.
But there is a camera.
Oh, it's a camera. Okay, good. Thank you very much. You say you have a problem with fiction. Can you? What is the problem with fiction?
This is reality.
We find it quite embarrassing. So if we just find it funny that Lucy would say her name is anything but Lucy. You know, if she said, "Hello, I'm Sarah," we would just find that hilarious. And we find the attempt, you know, even if you have a theatre show which has a very expensive, elaborate scenic design, maybe it really looks like a house or something. Of course, in the audience, you never, unless you sort of go through a psychic break during the show, you never will actually believe it is the house. You may think it is really good, very close, and people are doing a very good impression of what it would be like to be in that house.
But we want to believe it.
Sure, yeah.
So why you are so cruel?
I guess we feel like there's a lot of time in life, in society, spent escaping the real problems anyway. And so we think there's an important job to be done in the theatre or in performance, and we want to talk about and deal with and think about true things, which are often quite difficult or problematic. But we also, as I said, really love the theatre. So in some way we always want to celebrate being on stage and being with an audience. So we would try to maybe have a rather difficult conversation in quite a celebratory manner or energy. Yeah, we feel that there is some duty maybe to not have more escapism. Actually, I think.
We've been talking the last conversation also about tradition and how it is influenced contemporary art.
Yeah.
And I could say that it was very British, the sense of humor, and for me, for instance, it's also more funny that it's British accent, for instance, on the stage, and these manners of speaking.
Yeah.
What was the tradition you wanted to not to fight maybe, but to correspond, to make a dialogue with?
Yeah. Well, I think there are several traditions that we are trying to have a dialogue with. One is definitely our Britishness, or that we are British. We feel very, very British. We have a very bad sense of humour. I mean, the whole country, but especially us four people, very, very bad. And there's a sort of ridiculous arrogance or something about how to use the language. You know, we're very aware that when we go on tour, we spend a lot of time saying, "Sorry, may I ask you a question in English?" in all the shops and things, and people are like, "Sure." And a sort of, we have some uncomfortableness with that, I think. But we feel comfortable when we are being inside our Britishness. If we try and pretend it's not there, we don't feel right. We also feel very middle class, and we've had a lot of conversations about you could say you have to be in a certain position of privilege to be able to make art, actually. Because if you can afford to do that, to put a roof on your head, over your head, and feed yourself or your family, then most times it's because you come from a family position where somehow you can do that. That doesn't have to mean you're very rich or anything, but to be that free, in a way, there is some privilege, we feel. So that is a big thing we are in dialogue with a lot in our work, is a position of middle class comfort. And in this show, I suppose particularly, or pop culture, and particularly things like X Factor, that was a very direct kind of influence. And we're very interested, we are interested in failure and collapse and sort of inadequacy, but also actually we're very interested, we're very interested in, they came at just the right time. We're very interested in virtuosity, and here they are. So we're very interested in that's one of the questions we are in dialogue with a lot, is, and it ties with our love of theatre. We do take a great joy in seeing stuff go terribly wrong, but not just that. We take a great joy in seeing it go from terribly strong to terribly wrong. So that's a key interest for us.
There were many repetitions with many variations of the material.
Yeah.
And how do you work on it? Do you allow your performers to improvise or to have ideas about this material?
Yeah.
Or you are very...
That's what my mum said. She said, "Do you make them do that?" No, we work. Chained in the room. Do it again. We work very collaboratively. So I am the director, but only in as much as an outside eye. And also for the final decisions, because sometimes, obviously, if you're working in a group, you just can talk forever or have 100 opinions, and then you can't do anything. So I would have the final say if we had to be, if we were in that position. But we work very collaboratively, and we work through improvisation, and very, very long form improvisation. So sometimes they might be doing something, and we can all sense that it's really rubbish. It's nothing, but we'll quite often try to keep going, because sometimes it's in the wreckage that you find the interesting thing. So we would be looking for the point where people had given up and were like, "Oh, what? I don't know what to do," and then something happens with something else happening behind it, or somebody drops something and something happens, and those kind of real moments are opened up. And because people's energies are so spent through the work, an interesting dynamic occurs. But yeah, it took us a very long time to make the show, and we do work very, very slowly. And we go in lots of circles. We do some material, and we think that it's the most important thing in the show, and then we take it out. So with this show, at one point we took the music out, if you can imagine what that was. So and then we put loads of music in, so 25 different tracks, and then we ended up with the one track. So we sort of go in waves and circles, and I think all the time the material that we are making is in dialogue with material we already have, and it slowly emerges which things we need to pull out and put together.
Very good.
Any questions?
What's your age?
Me?
All of you?
I'm 33.
I'm 30.
I'm 27. And I'm 28.
What about you?
What am my age? I'm 28.
Cool.
Yeah.
Why was this question?
For me, it's very hard to see when I see performances in dance and in theater. I think it's impossible sometimes. So I was just like interested.
Yeah.
Impossible what?
Sorry?
Impossible, what was impossible? The performance, to make the performance or to watch it?
It's impossible to see the age of the people performing.
yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think you did great.
Yeah. And actually, with this show, and maybe with a lot of our work, there is something, there can be something a little bit retro in the, sort of in the, well, when lots of things come together. So I think that's a conversation we've had, which relates to the question about age, I think.
I was thinking also about the dance, because when I was one of the jury member of the Polish dance platform, one of the other jury member who was from the theater field, always the first question was, is it a dance performance? Is it still a dance performance? And then I remind myself that an educational program in America for children, about dance, and they were trying to learn children how to doing the fight.
Yeah.
And it was the same, so it was a recollection of this, that you're showing us all the time how you cheat us. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. And for us, it's quite important to us that our work is between many boundaries. And lots of people say, what sort of work do you make? And there isn't really one straight answer, because for us, it is theatre, it is also live art. In this piece, it's very physical, so you could say dance, and there's often a lot of endurance physical work. Also, we're influenced by cabaret and very low cultural, trashy work, like pub cabaret and karaoke and things like that. And stand-up comedy, yeah, exactly. Very, we quite like the stuff which isn't thought good enough to come into a theatre, is the stuff we would like to bring. So for us, actually, to be programmed in a dance festival is so great. And some people said, "You're doing it where?" And we said, "It's got dancing in, sure." But for us, the physical life on stage is actually one of our main interests. And we believe, for most of our shows, that by the end, the performers should be exhausted, because for us it's about a real effort, the effort of doing the show. We would like you to be able to see what that takes, really. And also, and I think both ways, a lot of people come out and they say they're exhausted. And so for us, we would like to make this act of sitting in a chair actually activated and actually and you are engaged in something. So you think you've just been sitting, but you think, I've expended lots of energy, and what have I expended it on? So we're very happy to be in a dance context.
Can we say that you are building of the leftovers of the culture, pop culture or high culture or whatever culture?
Yes. Yes, definitely. Yeah, we love the leftovers. We love the scraps. We love the reject things, and we also love to play with expectation, because I think when you were saying about we often want escapism, we know that, of course. So it's a great joy to us to come in and twist that. And really, at all moments, we would like to twist expectation. So that's why the structure of the show, it may look really like it's going one way, and then it changes. I mean, some people, some promoters, if they only watch the first 10 minutes of the video, and then they book the show. And so we say, well, you know, you should watch the whole thing. So really that would be, you know, we really set it up as one thing, knowing that we will take that somewhere else later on.
It looks at the details, how Lucy is, how do we call this? Fake nails.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's destroying everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
As a question, are you somehow related to forced entertainment?
Yeah.
Or is it
Well,
like...
we're British.
Yeah, you're British, and then?
I think we're only related as much as everyone is in this field, maybe. We do know them as people, and they are sort of they're great supporters and helpful to us. Sometimes we will ask members to come and watch a run of a show we're making because sometimes you just don't know unless someone comes in, you know. So definitely their heritage, we very strongly feel their heritage, as this speaks to the British thing actually, but we sort of respect that a lot, but we also want to walk a slightly different path, but very much in sort of with them in our peripheral vision, because I think, and it seems to us most people of our generation have them in the peripheral vision, so yeah, so that's always an interesting thing for us. And actually one thing that they don't do really, I think, is sing. They do music, but they don't really sing, whereas we really... You did? Where they sang?
Yes.
Oh, I'm wrong. Did they sing a little bit or lots?
There's a lot of people at last week.
Oh, no, the thrill of it all.
Yeah.
No, they dance.
They dance.
Yeah, no singing. No.
Oh,
They have, yeah, they have very high voices and very low voices, yeah, but they don't sing. I did my homework. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely, and I think...
Also the contact, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
The true contact in the room and the...
Yeah. 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 And for us, singing is we really love to sing in our shows, so it's a small thing, but for us it feels quite key what your materials in the room are. Singing is usually one we would go to, and I don't think it is for them. All right? Sure.
And the last question.
First, thank you very much. And so we saw that artists, you can cross this line between truth and fake so lightly and so definitely. So the public who normally has some inertia cross with you momentarily. So I'm interested in what is your actors' basic education and professional experience.
Come to me, Phil. I didn't quite understand the question. Sorry.
Training, background.
Oh, right. Okay. Phew. Actually, we all come from quite traditional theatre backgrounds. I went to university and did an English degree, and then I did a postgraduate at a British drama school, just a one-year course in acting. So, that's what I bring.
What did you do other than this work?
I met Hester and Lucy about 3 months after I finished my training, and I've been working with them ever since. So really this is most of my professional life. I occasionally do a play with a script, which is quite different, but it's mainly
I did a degree, an undergraduate degree in English, and I did a master's in directing. Is this the right? Am I answering the right question? Yeah. And yeah, and then that's it. And then I was working as a freelance director, but then quite shortly after that, met Jen and Lucy. So the company is me, Jen and Lucy, and we just found him somewhere. Fisherman's, whatever. Yeah, so Craig is a collaborator who joined us for this piece. So for us, that's an interesting move, because even though it's still a very small show, 3 is quite different to 2. So I met Jen and Lucy, and we formed the company, and that's it. We've been just making work since then.
About 5 years.
Yeah.
Yes, so I'm the collaborator. All right, so actually, I didn't go to university. I actually just trained for 3 years at a drama school, an acting school in West London, and I finished that in, hang on, how old am I? 2006. From then, I've worked in very traditional, as we say, mainstream theatre, lots of comedy. I've done things like stand-up comedy and improvised comedy, that sort of thing. But I also work as a teacher of stage combat, as we call it in England. I don't know what you might call it here, but actors performing violence, basically. And in, whether it's in theatre or television or film. And in England, because we seem to, in England, love very traditional and historical drama, it's often ends up using lots of medieval weapons and things like that. And I work in like castles and places like that, doing medieval sword fighting, that sort of thing. But obviously not just that. And I got involved in this. I saw their first show, External, and it was like nothing I'd ever done before. And they invited me to audition, and it felt very natural working with them. It's strange, isn't it? But it did. It was. I think it was the improvisation background of it that spoke to me very naturally, and they were very easy people to work with, despite what you might think. But wonderful. So that's what I've done. Lots of different weird things.
Yeah, I went to drama school as well on a 3-year course, and when we first started to make work, we were a little bit embarrassed about the fact that we came from such traditional backgrounds, and we sort of felt like we had to prove ourselves that we were like edgy enough, and but then we've always kind of embraced our love-hate, but of like theatre and anyway of the show, the kind of razzle-dazzle, that let's have a great time and be entertained, and we try to really use that and balance that with our belief that theatre should be much, much more than it often is, at least in the UK.
Yeah, that is a link to the British thing, actually, because in Britain we still have this very old school theatre, and I know some other places do, but really I think in Britain it's quite behind. It's quite often visitors come and they're like, "Do you guys still do that?" We're like, yes, just putting on my wig, and it feels very old-fashioned. So I think that's a part of, ties in with this kind of middle class and British position we spoke about. The history of British theatre, I think we're particularly troubled by.
So you still have to fight with this British tradition of the theatre?
Yeah. Exactly. There is a context for this work in the UK, but not a very big one. And we're always much better supported on the continent, much better supported, and audiences are much more open. Even if they don't like it or it's love-hate, generally our experience is that audiences will come and sort of be up for it. They won't mind that they don't know already. Whereas in Britain, there's a real thing of you should know what it is before you even go. I want to read all the reviews, I want to read a plot synopsis, I want to know the characters, I need to read the book, and you need to tell me what I'm going to feel. And So there's no surprises, you know, whereas our experience of audiences in Europe is a more open one. And that doesn't mean just accepting, you know, because sometimes it isn't accepting, but still up for the dialogue, I think.
It's true feelings of the audience if they do not accept this kind of show.
Exactly. And I think the thing that scares us the most in theatre, British theatre and some other places, is that often people are more upset and angry when the form of the show is difficult than when the content is difficult. And that is just really, we find so terrifying, because that's such a conservative psychological position. It's almost like you could do anything on stage if you put it as a fiction. If you said, my name is Sarah, my name is Tammy, this is our house, now I'm going to, I don't know what, do whatever to you, then the audiences would say, yeah, it's fine, I can take it, yeah, really, yeah. Mm-hmm. But if you say, well, this is my real name, and I'll now pretend to do that, and also, oh, it's not a play, and the form is going to shift, and we're really going to talk to you, that is more threatening, I think, for a lot of people, and that's something we really want to engage with.
Thank you for the performance, and thank you for staying for the discussion or for a conversation or sharing.
Yeah, thank you for that question.
So thank you so much, and I hope that before us is 4 other days of the festival.
Thank you, guys. Thank you that you stayed. Now because of the delay, we missed the special performance. But if you would like to eat some good food, I would like to recommend you Jederman, which is a kind of chill out point, and you can still continue the discussion if you wish to. And well, we are happy that most of you will stay for the whole festival period, so just find each other and continue the discussion. Thank you and good night, and see you tomorrow.